Hello. Welcome to Handmade by Julia Quinn and my Thursday afternoon Facebook Live. Just booting up my other device to make sure I can see what you see and that I am going to move my camera just a touch. Ooh. As you can tell, I've got little dingle dangles on my camera stand that make a noise when you move everything. Okay, this card was on my blog last night, and it was a card with the starting point for these colours: pecan pie, shaded spruce, and cherry cobbler. They are the colours for our Colour Inspiration Challenge this week. And I wanted to make actually a card with lots of white because I do love white. And I also wanted to just play with this velvet that I'm absolutely loving. And I just wanted, the other thing is, honest truth, is that I had very limited time to make it. I worked yesterday, I hadn't made it before time, so it had to be a quick card, and then I had to write my post and get it on last night. So I made this one yesterday, and I wanted to share it with you. Now, one thing I did, I was playing with the velvet. As I said, I'm really having a great time playing with the velvet, and decided to see what it looked like embossed. Can you see that? That's the white velvet embossed. And then I thought, Christmas card, maybe I could add some shimmery white embossing paste to the embossing folder, so it's double embossed. Now, in the embossing paste experiment, I think I've lost a bit of the detail of the embossing, but I am reluctant to give up the embossing paste. So I thought this time, making the card, when I made the card yesterday, I just embossed the velvet, which is actually quite a flexible piece of cardstock, and then layered it onto some cardstock to give it a little bit of structure for my card. So today I thought I would adhere the velvet onto the cardstock before I did the embossing. I'm still tempted to forego the embossing paste, but I really want to give it a go and see if it becomes a bit more noticeable with the extra width and weight of having the cardstock behind. So what I did was I used the Pressed Flowers embossing folder, and the reason why I chose this one is because it actually, I think, goes that way, but I wanted something sort of droopy to create a Christmas swag in. That was my intention. So I'm using the Pressed Flowers embossing folder and my shimmery white embossing paste, which I actually do store upside down to try and keep it a bit fresher, and one of my palette knives, and just adding that around the textured parts of my embossing folder. So I don't know whether this is, I actually think for the look I'm going for, I need to just scrape it on top, but this embossing paste tends to find its way all sorts of places. I'm trying not to use too much as well, so that I don't go overboard too much. Okay, that should probably be enough. Close that up quickly because it does dry out really fast. And the other thing is, with embossing paste, you need to clean your utensils really fast. So just beside me over here, I've got a bucket of water. All right, now I'm going to pop my cardstock in there, close up my embossing folder, and then run that through my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And with this folder, it's not a 3D deep folder, so with this one you just need your 2 cutting plates, your number 3s, on either side of your folder with your cardstock inside, and then I'll just run that through my machine. Well, there's a bit of pressure because I've got the 2 layers of cardstock, so you can hear me sort of working to get it through the machine here, actually. There we go. Okay. And let's have a look to see what it's turned out like. And I'm just going to pop that straight into my bucket of water over there, swoosh that around, and then close it up. Hopefully that'll clean it up quite nicely. Wipe my hand off on my trousers. Okay, so there's the embossed design there. I'm just going to set that aside to dry a bit. Now the other part of the design, can you see what we're looking at here? Is this little bow from the Christmas greenery dies. And it ends up being 3 pieces. It has the bow part, the tails, and then the little piece on the top, which I don't want to lose. Just pop you over there so I can keep you safe. This is lovely red velvet. And this bow is going to probably be the last thing to be stuck onto my card. But just while I'm showing you, I'm going to pop some mini glue dots onto it. And a couple more here. They just fit inside the tails there. So it's as if someone was thinking about that when they designed it. Okay. All right, so it can sit over there. You can see the little adhesive just now, but hopefully when we put it together later. Here's my 2 pine cones. Now they've been die cut from the Delicate Pines dies. I should have shown you the dies when we were talking about it. So the Delicate Pines dies is set at 23 dies, which includes these 2 pine cones. It also includes the leaf we're going to use for the swag part of the card, okay? And lots of other great greenery and snowflakey dies, as well as a solid pine cone, so you can do a 2-layer pine cone, and some berries as well. A couple of little great dies that cut out lots of berries all at the same time. So that's the dies for the leaf and the pine cone. The dies that include this lovely big bow are the Christmas greenery dies. They have some really holly leaves and berries as well, and 2 great bits of greenery, as well as the outline dies for the bouquets. They're in the Christmas greenery stamp set that it coordinates with. Okay, let's have a look, see if this is dry. Nearly dry. I'll do a couple more things while we're waiting for it to dry. I want to show you this die here goes in that direction, but I wanted my swag to go in 2 directions to be symmetrical. And the way I did that was to, okay, I'm going to do 2 more as well. And die cut one of my leaves in this direction. Here we go. That way. All right, I just pop that through my die cutting machine. Just over here. Pop that one through. So that's the way that the die is designed to go, that direction. And then to make it symmetrical, I'll just pop you out. I just flipped over my velvet and die cut from the other direction on the other side, and that will give me the other direction of my foliage to create the symmetrical swag. I don't often make really structured symmetrical cards. I'm usually a far more random person because I think it hides mistakes better, but this swag I think turned out quite nicely. So there you go, you have 2 leaves going in that direction and 2 leaves going in that direction. See how they face different directions? And it's just easily done from die cutting on one side and then the other, which is also why when you're die cutting letters, it's very important you put your cardstock face up the way that you want it to be for your letters to be facing the correct direction. So if you were going to die cut the word ABBA, for example, the band, you would die cut 2 A's off this side and 1 B, and then you'd put the other B on the other side because they have the 2 B's facing in 2 different directions on their name. Okay, what else have we got? We've got this lovely greeting Now this greeting comes from the very cute Jolly Holly stamp set. And I have used one of our brand new online exclusive purchases, this great banner punch. I'm going to just punch that out with a bit of scrap I fished out of my bin. Punch out my flag. Yeah, I will say it is hard punching a large piece of cardstock with this punch. If you want to, I would recommend you use strips of cardstock like that to punch each of your banners, okay? So just use little strips. It's much easier to manage because when you've got all three of them cut out at the same time, it's a bit more, requires a bit more strength, hand strength to get them all going. Okay, pop you guys out of the way and get my lovely Jolly Holly stamps out. I chose this stamp set, one, because I really like this greeting here, but also because I wanted a small greeting to fit into my banner punch. So I'm going to use Christmas and some cherry cobbler ink. Okay, and stamp that right in the middle. There we go. And let's clean you off. I can pop you straight back into my box so I don't lose you. And Merry. And stamp that straight above there. There we go. Merry Christmas. Now that's done. I don't think I need to do any more for the front of my card there. I've got all my bits and pieces ready to go. And this is nice and dry now. And it's got the lovely embossed design on the back and the sparkly design on the front. I'm going to pop that onto my card front, which is basic white, thick, and I am going to use dimensionals all the way around the edge to set it up high. That's the end of that sheet. Oh, might have to go looking for some more. Hang on, I found some. I love using the edges, so I'm just going to pull this edge off this one here. And that one there. And one more edge piece. Thank you everyone for joining me today. It's lovely to see you here. I hope I'm giving you some new ideas that you can try with your card making. This is actually not a very complex card. It has lots of little bits and pieces though, which are rather fun. Okay, layer that on there. And I'm going to do my leaves first. So turn them all over and use the fun glue. I'm just putting glue on all of them. I like it better using this glue when it's a little bit drier. It actually is, this glue when you let it dry can be repositionable. What I like about when it's a bit drier is that it doesn't seep out when you squish it down to make it glue to your project. Okay, especially when you're doing things like this that are quite delicate and detailed. You don't want bits of glue seeping out and making sticky spots on your project. Okay, and my Merry Christmas, I'm going to use some dimensionals on while that's drying. 1, 2, and stick you, oops, not upside down. Got something stuck on there. Merry Christmas. Okay, and then let's start with our, I'll start over on the end first. And this end as well. And this one, and making my swag a bit different this time. I was less steep before. Okay, now my pine cones, one there and one there, and you know what, I'm going to snip those leaf stalks because I don't want them sticking up above my bow. And lucky I didn't put any glue on them. I only put a bit of glue on all the leaves. There we go. Now, the first part of the bow you've got to stick down is the tail. I should have put some glue on the back of the little square part of the bow. Pop you there. And this one over the top. Okay, and then this little bit, this tiny little square, gets popped right there. I'll just get a little bit of glue on the point of my piercing tool so I can pick that up without using my fingers. There we go. That's that. And then we need some, now these ones are the faceted snowflakes from the Delicate Pines bundle, which are absolutely stunning, but I've remembered them because I love them so much. So this time I'm going to put on some cherry cobbler berries. One there and one there and one there. Okay, that's the front of my card done. Now the inside of my card reflects the front of my card, but it's all done with stamping, which is my first love. I do love all of the texture, but I do love stamping as well. So the stamps I'm using for this one, the greeting comes from Jolly Holly because I love this. May the spirit of the season bring you hope, happiness and love. I'll stamp that in some. I'll pop you over there so I can see what I'm doing. Stamp that right in the middle. And clean you off, and then I'll be stamping some. This is my favourite stamp in the whole Delicate Pines stamp set. That bit of foliage there. I absolutely love it. Love it, love it, love it. And I love the effect that it creates when you stamp with it. So I'm going to stamp that across the top of my card like a swag. Okay. It has that lovely curve to it just naturally in the stamp. So there we go. I got to cover up that bit that didn't stamp quite properly. And last of all, a little bit of pecan pie for the pine cone. And this is a great pine cone stamp too. There's also a pine cone in the branching out stamp set. This one's a bit more detailed than that though. I re-inked my ink pad. Okay. I'm going to put another one up here and another one there. There we go. So that's the inside of my card done. That was much quicker than die cutting and sticking, wasn't it? I'll pop that inside my card. And then I have my second card featuring embossed velvet with some shimmery white embossing paste and the gorgeous velvet paper with the velvet leaves, the velvet bow, and then just cardstock for the pine cones. Thank you so much for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you again next week. Bye.